Listen well, traveler, for I have walked the length of the Great Bastion many times in my life, and I will tell you how it truly began, in the age before men counted years, when the Old Ones still shaped the world. A celestial dragon of pure starlight descended upon the eastern plains. He took the form of a man taller than any mortal, crowned himself the Dragon Emperor, and declared these lands his eternal dominion. By the reckoning of the West, this was in the earliest age of humanity. The Dragon Emperor raised Wei-Jin, the Celestial City, upon the shoulders of a great mountain, and from its ivory palace he and his consort, the Moon Empress, looked out upon a realm that stretched from the eastern sea to the mountains of Morn. From their union came 9 dragon children, each bound to an element of the cosmos. From their blood sprang the imperial dynasty, Miao Ying of the storm winds, Zhao Ming of the iron mountains, Yin of the deep waters, Bo of the jade valleys, Dao of the eternal flame, Zhu of the radiant light, and 2 others whose names are lost to time. And so the mandate of heaven was born, that only through perfect harmony could the world endure. Then, around 1800 years before the imperial calendar, the sky tore open above the northern wastes, and the first great tide of chaos spilled south. Demons rode on winds of blood, and the Dragon Emperor knew that no army alone could hold them forever. So he commanded the greatest work ever undertaken by mortal hands, a wall that would stand until the end of time itself. From the eastern steppes to the shores of the eastern sea, 2,000 miles of black granite and living jade were raised. The Dragon Emperor's children oversaw the construction and defense of the great fortresses along its length, with 10,000 stone sentinels, each taller than 3 ogres, set to watch the north for all eternity, their jade eyes never sleeping. When it was finished, the Great Bastion stood as the longest structure ever built by man or god, a single unbroken line of defiance stretching across the world. And the northern armies took their eternal post, 500,000 souls sworn to die before one brick fell. The Dragon Emperor decreed that as long as the bastion stood, so too would his realm endure. And for over 4,000 years, it has held. The armies that guard the bastion are not like the soldiers of the West. They are the Jade warriors, fighters whose very souls are bound to the defense of the wall. When a soldier of the northern armies falls in battle, their spirit does not pass to the afterlife. Instead, it is bound into jade armor, and they rise again as terracotta sentinels, eternally vigilant and eternally fighting. Death is not the end for the guardians of the bastion. It is merely a transformation, and so the living soldiers know they serve beside their ancestors. The warrior standing next to you might have defended the same section of wall 2,000 years ago. This creates a discipline unknown anywhere else in the world. There is no cowardice, no retreat, no surrender. To flee the wall is to betray not just your comrades, but every generation that has stood here before you. The shame would echo through eternity, and so they stand, and so they fight, and so they will die. And then they will stand again. The commanders of the bastion are chosen from the 9 great families, descendants of the Dragon Emperor's children who carry dragon blood in their veins. They are immortal or near enough. Miao Ying herself, the storm dragon, commands the eastern defenses from her fortress at Nangao. She knows every stone of the wall, for she has held that position for over 3,000 years. She has fought every type of demon, and she will stand there until the world ends, because that is the burden of the dragon-blooded, to endure where mortals cannot. The Bastion has never known peace, not for a single day in 4,000 years. Every dawn brings new attacks. Chaos marauder tribes hurl themselves against the gates. Beastmen swarms test weak points. Demon incursions materialize along isolated sections. Sometimes the attacks are small, a few dozen raiders. Sometimes they are apocalyptic, hordes numbering in the millions. The defenders never know what the next day will bring. They only know it will bring war. The worst attacks come during the seasons of chaos ascendancy, when the winds of magic blow strongest. During these times, the barrier between worlds grows thin, and greater demons can manifest in the mortal realm. These are the battles that test the Bastion to its limits. Entire sections of wall can be corrupted and must be demolished and rebuilt. Thousands die in a single engagement, yet the survivors know that next season will bring another test, and the season after that, forever. This is not war as the West knows it. This is eternal attrition. But the defenders have advantages. The Bastion itself is not merely stone. It is alive with ancient magic. Wards woven by the Dragon Emperor himself pulse through the jade veins running through the wall. These wards weaken demons, disrupt chaos sorcery, and make the Bastion anathema to corruption. Enemy siege weapons shatter against its surface. Corrupted climbers find their hands burning on the stone. The wall itself fights alongside its defenders. And when sections are damaged, alchemists and mages work tirelessly to repair not just the physical structure, but the magical wards. The Bastion heals. The Bastion endures. The soldiers who serve on the Bastion live their entire lives there. They are born in the garrison cities built into the wall itself. They train from childhood in the arts of war. They marry other garrison families. They die on the battlements and are buried in the crypts beneath, awaiting their eventual transformation into terracotta sentinels. 3 or 4 generations might serve in the same section, defending the same 500 yards of wall that their ancestors defended. This is not service. It is identity. They are the wall, and the wall is them. The garrison cities are marvels of engineering. They must be self-sufficient, able to withstand siege indefinitely. Underground aqueducts bring water from distant mountains. Vast granaries store rice for years. Workshops produce weapons and armor. Gardens grow medicinal herbs. Libraries preserve military knowledge. Everything needed for war and life exists within the wall. And yet, despite the danger, despite the hardship, the garrison cities have culture. There are theaters, temples, festivals, because humanity cannot survive on duty alone. Hope must be maintained. Beauty must too endure. Every soldier on the wall knows the strategic mandates, the ancient principles laid down by the Dragon Emperor himself. They are simple. The wall must hold. Reinforcements must arrive. Supplies must flow. Information must travel. Discipline must prevail. These 5 mandates have governed the defense of the Bastion for 4,000 years. Every tactic, every protocol, every standing order derives from them. They are taught to children alongside their letters carved into the walls of every barracks. They are the foundation of everything. Chaos brings madness and change, but the mandates establish order and constancy. and order has proven stronger. The Great Bastion has several gates, but two dominate all others. In the west stands the Snake Gate, forged by Zhao Ming, the Iron Dragon. It is a fortress unto itself, a maze of iron portcullises, murder holes, and crushing traps. No enemy has ever breached the Snake Gate. Many die in the approach, others in the outer courtyard or in the killing corridors. Zhao Ming himself dwells within, and he is patient as stone and merciless as iron. He has held this gate for 3,000 years, and he will hold it 3,000 more. Between the two great gates lie dozens of smaller fortress gates, each commanded by generals of the great families. These positions are hereditary, passed from parent to child for millennia. The generals know their sections intimately. They know where the stone is weakest, where attacks most often come, or which demon types favor which approaches. This knowledge accumulates across generations. That way, attack patterns that repeat every few centuries are recognized and countered. The Bastion's defenders have institutional memory that spans ages. They do not merely react to threats, they predict them. Chaos may be eternal, but so is their vigilance. But the mandate of heaven demands more than mere military strength. It requires harmony, balance between the elements, between the families, between duty and humanity. When that harmony breaks, disaster always follows. The histories record times when rivalry between the great families weakened the wall's defense. When Zhao Ming and Miao Ying quarreled over resources in the year 1200, 3 gates fell before the Dragon Emperor himself was forced to intervene. The lesson was clear. Personal ambition must never compromise the collective defense. Unity is survival. Division means death. And so the burden weighs heaviest on the common soldiers. They do not ask for glory. They do not seek wealth. They serve because it is their duty, because their ancestors served, because someone must stand between civilization and oblivion. They watch their comrades die and bury their children in the wall. They grow old, never seeing the lands they protect, so that the people of the southern provinces live in peace and prosperity, never knowing the sacrifices made daily at the bastion. Sometimes in the darkest watches of the night, defenders wonder if those they protect even remember they exist. But they endure because they must, because the alternative is unthinkable. The defenders of the bastion know what lies beyond the wall. They have seen the corruption, the madness that carries the endless hunger of chaos. They know that if the wall falls, their entire civilization would fall with it. Every village, every city, everything would burn. Every child would be devoured or twisted into something worse than dead. So they stand, they fight, they die. And their children take their place because someone must, because the wall must hold for harmony to be preserved. This is the price of life. In the West, in the empire of men, few even know that Grand Cathay exists. The journey across the dark lands and mountains of Morn is nearly impossible. Only a handful of merchants who make the trek return with tales of impossible wealth, jade cities, and dragon rulers that most dismiss as fantasy or exaggeration. The empire struggles against its own threats: greenskins, beastmen, and the occasional chaos incursion. But they cannot imagine a realm that has fought chaos every single day for thousands of years. They cannot comprehend the scale of the bastion, the depth of its defenses, or the sophistication of its military doctrine. If the empire knew, they would be humbled. The vaunted Reichsguard, the pride of imperial knighthood, numbers perhaps 3,000 warriors. The northern armies of the Bastion number 500,000 living soldiers and countless terracotta sentinels. The Empire's greatest fortresses, like Altdorf's walls, might hold 50,000 defenders. The garrison cities of the Bastion each hold more. The Empire celebrates when it survives a single major chaos invasion every few centuries. Yet the Bastion repels multiple invasions every year. Grand Cathay fights a war the Empire cannot even imagine, and has done so since before the Empire existed. Yet Grand Cathay does not boast. They do not seek recognition from the West. They need nothing from the Empire, no trade, no alliance, no validation. They are completely self-sufficient, and their civilization is older and more sophisticated than anything in the West. The Dragon Emperor's children do not think in terms of centuries but millennia. They play a long game that Western rulers cannot comprehend, for they defend the world not for glory, but because it is their purpose. The mandate of heaven requires it. And so the Bastion stands, unknown and unsung in the West, the greatest defensive work in the world, holding back darkness while the Empire sleeps in ignorance. But immortality has its costs, and the dragon-blooded pay them. Miao Ying has defended her gate for 3,000 years. She has seen empires rise and fall in the south. She has watched every mortal she ever cared for grow old and die. She has buried so many soldiers that their names blur together into an endless litany of the fallen. She can no longer remember what it felt like to be surprised, to be uncertain, to hope for anything beyond the endless routine of defense. Immortality is not a gift. It is a burden, and the dragon-blooded carry it because someone must. Zhao Ming too knows this weight. He has perfected the art of defense until there is nothing left to learn. Every possible attack has been attempted against his gate. Every strategy has been tested. He wins not through brilliance, but through the accumulated experience of ages. He is less a warrior now than a force of nature, patient, immovable, and eternal. But sometimes in the depths of night, he looks at the mortal soldiers under his command and envies them. They will die. Their watch will end, but his never will. Until the world ends, he will stand at the snake gate. This is his purpose. This is his prison. Yet they do not falter, because the mandate of heaven requires it, because without them the wall would fall. The Dragon Emperor, their father, commanded it, and his word is absolute. The dragon-blooded are not free to seek their own happiness or to pursue their own desires. They are instruments of cosmic balance bound to their posts by divine decree. They may resent this fate. They may rage against it in private moments, but they will never abandon it, because to break the mandate would be to unravel reality itself. And so they bear the unbearable for eternity. This is the price of being divine. This is the curse of immortality. 4,000 years of conflict, 4,000 years of endless war, 4,000 years of holding the line. Empires have risen and fallen in that time. In the West, entire civilizations have been born, flourished, and died. But the Bastion stands, unchanged, eternal, the same stones, the same gates, the same purpose. Generations of defenders have lived and died, knowing nothing but the wall. And the cycle will continue. When the current soldiers are dust, their children's children will stand where they stood. The Bastion does not end. It endures. The defenders know this, and they accept it. There is a peace in certainty, in knowing your purpose beyond all doubt. The soldiers of the West fight for glory, for wealth, or for their lords. But the soldiers of the Bastion fight for something simpler and more profound. They fight because the wall must hold. That is all. That is everything. There is no ambiguity, no moral complexity. The enemy is chaos. The mission is defense, and the duty is eternal. In a world of constant change and uncertainty, the Bastion offers absolute clarity. And for many, that is enough. And so the watch continues. As the sun rises over the Great Bastion, as it has risen for 4,000 years, the defenders take their posts. The jade eyes of the Terracotta Sentinels glow to life. The dragon-blooded commanders survey their domains. The garrison cities awaken. Smoke rises from a million breakfast fires. Children train in the courtyards. The signal towers pass their all-clear messages. Everything is as it should be. Everything is as it has always been. The wall stands. The enemies gather beyond it. And between them stand the guardians of the Great Bastion, ready to face another day of eternal war. This is Grand Cathay and the burden of civilization, and they will bear it. But for how long will the wall endure? For even stone can crack. All these questions and many more will be answered in the Tales of the Old World. Subscribe and click the notifications button. And I shall see you in the next tale.